The set for a biopic directed by David O. Russell has reportedly devolved into chaos because of his bizarre behavior on set. Allegedly, he said the N-word and insisted on full frontal nudity from a supporting actor. And this supporting actor ended up walking off set and quitting over this whole thing. It's starring Nick Cage playing John Madden, but it's not a biopic about John Madden necessarily. It's about the creation of the video game.
Yes, it's about his life after he retired from coaching and he started announcing, and then he went on to create the Madden video game series, which is one of the most iconic video game franchises in history to this very day. It is a legacy far greater even than his football legacy.
They also have Christian Bale playing Al Davis, the owner of the Raiders, and John Mulaney appears as Trip Hawkins, founder of EA.
Yeah, and he was the guy who basically created the game.
Catherine Hahn plays John Madden's wife.
Told you, Catherine Hahn, you cannot deny talent and charisma. Catherine Hahn was like, again, I point out, she was in Crossing Jordan in like 2002 in her like early 20s, and she didn't hit her career stride and peak until she was well past what all of the actresses claim is like when Hollywood discards them.
Away,
like it's one of the most annoying narratives in Hollywood. They're like, they just discard. and it's like, what's her name from Everything Everywhere All at Once, who gets more work now than she did when she was in her 20s in America.
Right. And then they also have Sienna Miller portraying Al Davis's wife. It doesn't sound like this is going to pass the Bechdel tests. So this supporting actor remained anonymous, but talked to TMZ about the experience. TMZ spoke with 5 members of the cast and crew, and they independently leveled serious claims about the film's director, David O. Russell, who has... it would be an understatement to say that he has a weathered reputation as a director and a person.
Should I read them here? Just the main ones?
Yes, but we do have a 20 from Raiden Cross/Counter. I'm chatting to reach out to you about your car's extended warranty. Oh, well, I'll be sure to follow up with you about that. That sounds very concerning.
I loved all those memes that were going around when, like, who is it that India was beefing with, like, last month, and everybody's already forgotten about it?
Pakistan?
And they're like, imagine, like, they both fire nukes and all of the cold calls you get just stop all at once. Anyways, so, first of all, I like the likeness. Of course, I always remember John Madden with white hair, but, of course, when he was younger, he had darker hair. But Nicolas Cage, I wonder if they put him in a fat suit or if he put on the weight. If you're his age and you put on that weight, you might not be able to get it off, right?
But Christian Bale's on the movie, so you have to really commit.
He's going to commit to it. So, again, David O. Russell, we talked about him a lot in the lead up to the movie Amsterdam, which oddly enough we did review. On this channel. He has, as Mary said, a weathered reputation, to say the least. And I just was looking back. There's whole lists that are made of just his controversies. Like, there's somebody's job at some outlet to categorize and list them all. So he fought with George Clooney on the set of Three Kings back in 1999.
Physically?
He claimed that that Clooney was trying to take over the set because he's a big movie star, and then Clooney claims that he was being verbally abusive, which seems to be pretty much
to the other people.
Yeah. And then he also verbally abused Lily Tomlin on the set of I Heart Huckabees, and there was those very viral videos that leaked around that time of what was said on set. We talked about that here on this channel. We even showed those videos at one point. And now this one is my personal favorite because it's just this is hearsay. It was some producer sources this. He says that he put Christopher Nolan in a headlock after he tried to kind of steal Jude Law from a Nolan movie in 2004 at some Hollywood party. And I'm picturing Christopher Nolan just before going into production. No, in fact, at that time, he would have been in production on, like, Batman Begins. So he's like, I gotta go to work tomorrow. Stop doing this.
Was it like oh, we're just horsing around, but then it gets a little bit too serious?
I'm guessing it gets a little bit too serious. Again, that's hearsay. No confirmation on this. But there's, of course, the most serious of all of these is the sexual assault of his trans niece. And this is not hearsay because he admitted to this.
Right.
And no charges were ever filed.
He admitted to it, and he said that it wasn't a problem. Yeah. We talked about that because recently Jenna Ortega was getting a lot of backlash for signing on to a movie directed by David O. Russell alongside Robert De Niro called Shutout, and people were angry at her for associating with someone with such a terrible reputation. The story around the assault is...
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We have tonal issues.
Y'all, it's literally right after the serious part.
Perfect timing. The story over the assault was especially weird because the way that it was put, they were having a conversation about the estrogen that his nephew turned niece was taking and the effect that it has on breast sizes.
Yeah.
And that's when he started, like groping whatever was or wasn't there on his nephew's chest, which is just disgusting.
Yeah.
So more about Madden. Crew and cast members told TMZ that on Friday, David O. Russell was working with the unnamed supporting actor on an impromptu monologue, and David O. Russell allegedly said the N-word, which upset the actor, along with others, who allegedly walked off set before they broke for lunch.
Look,
and
Papa John lost his his business over this.
What was the context for that one, though? Wasn't he quoting somebody?
Yeah, he was quoting or condemning it in like a speech to the board, and it didn't even matter.
Right.
This is actually. It sounds like we're being sarcastic here, but it's an interesting thing to consider when you think about how much Hollywood likes to virtue signal about problematic people. What is it about certain directors that just give them the pass? Like, why is David O. Russell, why is it, aw shucks, it's just David being David again?
Well, Francis Ford Coppola has afforded the same excuse.
It is one of those things
Bill Murray
where
as well.
If you're of a strong enough celebrity status and you've produced enough wealth for people in the industry, people will hold their nose and work with you. Right. Or I would even posit the idea that they're not even holding their nose and they don't even really care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
David O. Russell gets away with it the same way that Francis Ford Coppola gets away with it, the same way that for a very long time Harvey Weinstein got away with it before his industry turned on him. And even after Harvey got convicted and is rotting away in prison, he said openly in his interview with Candace Owens that people in Hollywood still work with him, and he does pro bono work looking over scripts for movies.
Because they care about themselves. They don't actually care about other people.
But the sources have told TMZ it was actually the unnamed actor's idea to include the N-word in that scene after a private creative conversation with David O. Russell. But ultimately, the word was not used when they shot the scene, and the sources stand firm that David O. Russell did not say the N-word while shooting the scene, but declined to speculate what exactly upset the actor and others in the moment that, led to them doing this walkout.
He wouldn't have lasted a moment on the set of Deadwood.
The cast and crew sources also say that a day earlier, the same actor made it clear he did not want to be nude in a scene in a locker room, which allegedly pissed off David O. Russell, and his reaction was unprofessional.
I'm sorry, but this just reeks of Hollywood interference, where they're like, there's no need for this, but they gotta shoehorn it in somewhere.
Yes.
And they're like, they're naked in the locker room. Let's film stuff in the locker room. If you go to IMDb and look up this movie, my favorite part is when you see the tags for the film. The tags are like sports movie, biopic. It says football, biography film, locker room, male nudity.
Oh. Those are on the tags?
Those are on the tags. And then head coach after that.
Maybe those are AI generated. Just because those are in the articles right now. An intimacy coordinator tried to make this actor more comfortable with the suggested full frontal.
That's their job.
And suggested blocking, but the actor still had an issue, which is when David O. Russell calmly said he didn't have to be in the shot, which I assume is more so to mean if you don't want to be part of this movie, GTFO. The studio stressed, they mean Amazon, stressed that nudity was not sprung on anyone. Everyone knew well in advance that parts would be on display there wherever.
I am more look, here's the thing. The streaming services, not to go off in too much of a tangent, then we'll finish this up. You just knew that because it's for Amazon, they would never make it about John Madden himself. They had to make it about some obscure.
You're like, yeah, like video game movie.
But the thing is,
biopic.
It makes
Let's
sense.
do both.
It makes sense because the Madden video game series in many ways became bigger even than John Madden himself.
Yeah.
And has reached way more people. But if you're gonna make a John Madden biopic, you make that for the theaters. If you're gonna make some biopic about the creation of something like the Tetris movie, the only thing more shocking than this not being about John Madden is the fact that Apple TV didn't make it.
Amsterdam bombed at the box office. That was a theater release. That
yeah, but I think
should have been a streaming release.
No, that was never. That with the was that Christian Bale,
Margot Robbie,
John David Washington. Well, he doesn't really count because he's not really a big star, but he was. He's a star trying to be on the rise. But Christian Bale and Margot Robbie are always going to go to the theater. If
what about Babylon? That wasn't directed by David O. Russell, but also had Margot Robbie in it. Bombed. Seems like it just should have been a streaming movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
One individual told us that production had been a mess with conflicts like the aforementioned allegations, and tensions were being exacerbated by Nick Cage and Christian Bale, who are both true method actors, portraying their characters with an intensity that doesn't end when the cameras stop rolling.
Nick, everybody's heard the famous blow up of Christian Bale on the set of Terminator Salvation when he's yelling at the was it like the set or he was yelling at the director of photography. Oh, good for you. Everyone's heard that.
Yeah.
The scarier thing to me is I'm picturing them being method actors with the full frontal nudity, just like whipping the towel off and walking around naked because it's true to the character.
Craft services.
Yeah. Parts on display.
Whipped out.
Yeah. All right. Look, the movie set sounds tumultuous. But the sad part is a documentary about the movie being made is probably going to be more interesting than the movie itself.
Same goes for Megalopolis, actually. I think the Megalopolis stories were funnier, though.
They were.
Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah, but they're only like weeks into filming here. It could get worse.
Although, I don't think Francis Ford Coppola has been accused of anything that serious.
No, wasn't there something?
Well, he was accused of, like, touching people who didn't want to be touched, but, like,
and
not
he pulled, like, a Chris Cuomo. Or he pulled, like, what's his name? I'm not a pervert, I'm Italian.
Right, exactly. It wasn't in a...
Is that Chris Cuomo? Who was that?
Violating way. It was more just like he's a quirky, senile old man who doesn't know what's socially appropriate. Which
like Bill Murray.
Yeah, exactly. Like Bill Murray, which I find a little bit less condemnable.
Instead of being grandfathered in, they're grandfathered out of Me Too claims.
Yeah, the method acting thing is also super pretentious. Like
Christian Bale
gets
a pass because Christian Bale is
Christian Bale.
He delivers. So
what about Nicolas Cage?
Nicolas Cage, yes, he does. He absolutely does.
The only way that this could have been more chaotic is if they had Jake Gyllenhaal on the set. I remember us talking about how a film set totally devolved into chaos because Jake Gyllenhaal was like...
I forgot about that.
He wasn't even method acting. He was just acting like a crazy person. One part... He was in the writer's room and started playing a Greta Thunberg speech with rock music in the background and crying to like access the emotions for the role, you know?
This is why whenever you're like actors, you can't just do sex scenes and go home. I'm like, yes, they can. They're weird.
Yeah.
They can absolutely do that. They're weird.
Some of them can and others get divorced.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.